Okay, so I think we can start. As usual, we were waiting 5 minutes for everyone to join. So welcome everyone for our last AI inclusion webinar. I'm going to introduce myself briefly. My name is Isabel Martinez. I am the project coordinator of the project AI inclusion. So I just wanted to welcome everyone to this last webinar, which is called Leveraging Technology and AI for Personalized Learning. I will actually leave the word to our colleagues from Tenerife, our partners from Tenerife, who were the organizers of this last webinar. So let me introduce to you Catarina from Tenerife.
Thank you, Isa, and hello everyone, and thank you for joining. My name is Catarina, and I'm from Erasmus Learning Academy in Spain. So today's webinar is part of an exciting Erasmus Plus project called AI Inclusion. And our main goal over this 3-year journey is to promote truly inclusive education in secondary schools and for students with neurodivergence and autism spectrum disorder. So specifically through the responsible and ethical use of AI. And this is a huge team effort coordinated by Erasmus Learning Academy in Italy, alongside a fantastic network of schools and organizations across Europe. So speaking of partners, you can see our European network on the screen right now. So we are joining forces from Italy, Spain, Serbia, Portugal, Poland, and Romania. Together, our mission is to raise awareness, to boost teacher skills, and to show how AI can safely tailor lessons to individual needs. So we're focusing heavily on supporting secondary school and students aged from 14 till 18 years old to support their trainers and teachers, and also the trainers who support those traders and educators. So to make this happen, we are not just talking, we are also building. The project includes an awareness campaign, a cycle of 5 open webinars, a central digital platform, and practical training courses on inclusive teaching and AI tools. So we are also rolling out a mentorship program, local hackathons, and a strict ethical guidelines to ensure student privacy is, of course, always protected. And now I will give you a moment to scan this QR code, and I will explain what our community of practice is. So actually we created a space on Facebook where we will share resources, ideas, good practices, and where we will post updates, some events, and where we will ask questions and to support each other. So we will encourage you to share your experience, to post some useful materials, and to contribute to the discussion. And your participation will help us build strong and active community. So to dive deep into today's topic, I'm thrilled to introduce you our main speaker for today. He's a true professional in this field, and he will join us live directly from the USA. That's Munir Hojoverge, and Munir, I leave the floor to you.
All right, well, thank you so much. Let me start by sharing my screen. Hopefully everyone can hear me properly and can see the presentation. Well, I'm going to start saying, well, thank you so much, Katrina and Isabel and Alona, who were the 3 people that I talked to and arranged this webinar. Good afternoon to everyone, obviously. Good morning for me. I'm in the Washington, D.C. area, and it's about 9:30 in the morning now. My name is Munir Hojoverge. For the next hour or so, I want to take you on a journey, not about technology, but about the vision that I started to work on a long time ago, that that then actually match perfectly what the ELA group is doing. I'm going to be in this vision. I'm going to try to show you how we can use AI to connect people and to solve one of the most human problems that we have today, which is making sure that every single mind gets to learn the way that it was built to learn. And this is the AI-nclusion Project, as you already heard. And the whole journey starts today with two main questions. The first two questions is basically the two questions that every single school, every single institute, every single university on earth is quietly asking themselves today, whether they say it out loud or not. The first question is, are we teaching our students in the right way? And the second one is, are we teaching the right thing? So hold on into both of these questions, because there's going to be the core of this whole presentation. And by the end of today, I'm going to show you, not just tell you, how we can use AI as a tool, but never as a replacement, so that we can actually help to solve this problem and how to actually answer both of these questions. So a quick word on me and why I'm standing here before you. For more than 20 years, I've been building autonomous systems for institutions like NASA, Walt Disney Imagineering, Amazon Robotics, and the United States Department of Defense. I build systems that make real-time decisions and adapt to unpredictable and uncertain conditions, and simply they cannot fail. So when we hear this Hollywood sentence that failure is not an option, this is truly what I've been working on through my career. So this is to some extent the same and the exact challenge that inclusive education has, in the sense that we have to make real-time decisions, and we need to adapt our education resources, and we need to make sure that we don't fail our students, because they are basically the future of us, of societies and humanity. So, but there's also a more professional and more personal reason behind all this. My wife is a psychologist who specializes in neurodivergent profiles, and I am a neurodivergent individual in the widest spectrum of things, obviously. So I don't see this as an engineer, as an expert, as a professional, but I live it. This is part of my existence. Now, as an older individual, I can see how the struggles may be flourishing in many of our students today. So basically, this matters to me in a deeper way. So here's the quick map of today. I know it's a little bit crowded, but we'll start to understand things clearly. There's three main protagonists today in this talk. We have the students, we have the educational institutions, and then we have society. And we have three connections between them. They have three bridges where AI changes everything, and it's going to have a huge impact, and it's already having a huge impact. So notice that I put the educational institution sitting in the center of all this, because these are mostly you guys, people who is involved in these educational institutions. And today, I'm going to walk you across these main bridges that matter the most to you. Basically, the bridges that connect education with the students and education with society. And we will go through this connection bridges and how AI can help us basically enhance the educational institutions, the learning path that we provide, and everything else related to using AI for inclusion. We're going to start with the first bridge. This is what we call, or what I call, the AI cognitive bridge. All right, this is the left side of the image, which is a little bit highlighted, runs between students and your institutions, your educational institutions. This is the heart of the whole presentation, I would say. And it rests on one idea that is actually very simple to say, but it's actually radical to execute. And this is that it's no longer the student who adapts to the system, it is the system that adapts to the student, and it must be this way. So let me show you why this isn't just a nice slogan that sounds good. It's much more than that. Take a quick look at this. I'll give you a few seconds. You'll notice that this is education today. You know, this is one mold the squares in the bottom, for everyone. Everyone is poured in, everyone is forced in. Same pace, same content, same format, same delivery. So whether you are Emma, who is maybe an ADHD, or maybe you're Luca with some sort of autism spectrum, maybe you're Sophia with dyslexia, or maybe you're Kai, who is gifted and twice exceptional. Some may fit these molds, but the ones who don't fit, like the ones that I just described, they suffer. Uh, and they suffer not because they can't learn. They do learn, but because the mold was never built for them. And they struggle with the, as I said earlier, with the pace, with the format, with the delivery, with everything else around it. But you probably know all this. If you're involved in educational institutions, you probably know all this. You probably already watch this happen every week around you. So now imagine that the mold simply disappears. There's no mold. Imagine now the same topic that we choose, that we need to teach our students, whatever that topic may be, becomes now 4 completely different experiences. Emma, which we mentioned earlier that she had potentially ADHD, now gets short burst of information, gamified burst. Luca gets calm, predictable structure because he's in this autism spectrum. Sophia, with her dyslexia, learns audio first because it's easier for her to listen and learn by listening, with everything read out loud to her. Kai, who is much more kind of advanced and exceptional in this way, goes straight to accelerated depth. So it's the same lesson, the same content, the same objective, but 4 radically different journeys for each one of them. Each one of these journeys are completely built around their minds. And this is what personalized actually means in education. But let me be completely honest with you. There's a huge challenge on trying to achieve this, because we have a dual challenge to achieve. On one hand, we have to maximize basically 2 different things. One, we have to maximize the student potential. And at the same time, we need to maximize the student's experience, the good experience. And normally, these 2 fight each other, they against each other. Like, for example, when you push too hard to extract the maximum potential of some students, you get overwhelmed, you get tired, you get suffering, you get discomfort. Sometimes when you go on the opposite side of the equation, when you don't push too hard, things may become maybe even boring, or they might be actually feel good, but you don't extract the maximum potential. There's no growth in the student. So what's the true answer? And the true answer here is that we need to think about how babies learn on their own. When we see clear, no suffering, it's pure driven by curiosity, that little hit of dopamine with every discovery, where you see the kid being completely driven by new experiences. That's the sweet spot. And until now, no teacher anywhere on earth has had the time to find it and hold it for a 30 students class, because it's impossible. It's impossible to be able to target each one of them. But now with AI, we totally can, and we can in real time. For every single one of them, we can use these tools to reach this sweet spot. But now the idea is, like, how actually do we do that? So how do we actually find this sweet spot? How do we create this perfect learning experiences for everybody, while at the same time we are making sure that we are extracting the true potential of each individual? Well, there's actually 3 steps. Here is step 1. The first thing is understand, because when you cannot understand, you cannot personalize. You need to understand each individual to be able to personalize that journey. So today, building a real picture of a neurodivergent student means, scattered notes, half-finished assessments, and professionals who never have enough time to put it all together. Now, picture a new tool, the one that I will show you in a little bit, your own tool that lives in your infrastructure, in your framework. This tool would pull every stream of information together. So we get your observations as educators, we get meeting transcripts, we get formal assessments from the students, and even we get students' its own words and its own assessments. Everything put together. It doesn't replace the judgment of the teachers or the teaching team. It amplifies their capabilities. So you bring the clinical insight as professionals, and AI brings the speed, the pattern recognition, the thoroughness, the memory. They keep everything in place. Together, professionals, clinical professionals and educators and AI, we can build these profiles much faster than we did earlier. The second step is basically the design. So you have to be able to watch what happens once the profile that we already have, it can get transformed into a learning path by just a few clicks. So the AI takes, for instance, Emma's profile, who had ADHD, as we said earlier, and we take any topic that Emma needs to teach, or we as teachers decide that she needs to learn, and we build her a personalized learning path for that specific topics. In this particular case, because she's got ADHD, it could be maybe some short segments, some short videos. The format switches. We have gamified progress. We take short rest so she can actually rest and focus. And because that actually is meant for her, that's what science tells us, that it's going to be much better for her to absorb the new learning topics. But here's the line I will never want you to forget. So you as teachers and educators and the professionals review every element of it. So AI proposes, but the teachers always decide. The learning team, the institution team always decides and verifies and approves and edits, and it's always in your hand what's going to be delivered to that specific student. So again, as I said earlier, AI is basically an accelerator, and it's almost like having a learning and teaching team on steroids. So the third step, after we have created the profile, after we took this profile and we took a specific topic and we decided what is the learning path for that specific topic, the next step, the next reasonable step, is the delivery. And this is the part that actually gives me the goosebumps, because now the student get to see not a clinical dashboard, not an algorithm. It gets to see a beautiful, engaging experience that feels like it was absolutely made for that specific person, which actually it is, because it was made for that person. It was made with the intent to teach that person with that specific disabilities. So for example, Emma logs in and now sees her own word, all this paste for her energy, because she's got, again, we're using this as examples, right? We have Emma with ADHD, everything is built around her situations, right? So we have paste energy, movement breaks because they cannot focus enough, progress that she gets to celebrate every step of the time. And she has no idea that behind all this, there is a profile generator, there is a learning path creator, there is a team that works together, but now is able to actually deliver. So she just sits down and it feels for the very first time that this feels like school was built for me. Like this is truly it feels like I'm fine sitting down and learning. So here's the point. I need every person in the room listening to this to hear me clear, right? Those are not three different tools. We talked about the portfolio builder, the path creator, or the learning path generator, and then the learning experience interface. Those are not three different products. These are one single pipeline, which includes the understand, the design, and the deliver. And that pipeline it should be yours. Basically, it should be governed by the institution, and you run it and you control it. So there's no data fears, the use of using data of certain students that have certain disabilities that we don't want to share and all that. This is in one single framework, and the decision is always made by the professionals in the back. So The institution is always driving, while the AI is the engine. So let me also make this very impossible to misunderstand, because I think it's the foundation of what we're trying to do, especially with AI tools, right? The teacher and the teaching teams is always at the center, right? The teaching team decides what must be taught, and at the same time, the AI will propose how to personalize that journey, but the teaching team is always validating, approving, and the final word is always given by the teaching team every single time. So AI will never replace the teachers or the professionals. It is basically, as I said earlier, the most powerful tool that the teacher may have to basically allow them to execute that vision of being the best teacher that you could ever be. And none of this is worth anything without guaranteeing certain things, right? We have to have certain guarantees, because I know that as teachers, as professionals, we have to have certain guarantees that everything falls into the right hands in the right place and everything is safe. So the first one I wanted to talk about is hallucinations. None of this, actually, the ones that you see in front of you, none of them are negotiable. It's a must happen if we wanted to use AI as tools that help us get to where we want it to be, which is in this vision, right? So the first one is zero hallucinations. We have to use, especially now that we talk a lot about hallucinations and liabilities, and saying things and using data that is not correct, inventing things that maybe they're not associated to this specific patient, or in this case this is specific student. So we have to use tools that help us to verify, that actually map the information to the sources. So there has to be a real source where this came from. And we have to follow this, pedagogical and the institution guidelines. So we always have to follow, highest standards and best procedures. And we have to guarantee that this is there and this is real and is working. The second aspect I wanted to talk about is the fact that we have to always guarantee that we're using AI in the best way possible. And it's funny, because we need to make sure that our AI systems are not biased and they're not actually using wrong types of information. So this is a double AI for inclusion. Like, we have to basically make sure that our AI tools are built correctly so that they can actually make sure that all students in all frameworks can fit in. And finally is that there's no negotiable aspect on that. The teaching teams and the institutions are always in the loop of this process. There are always critical thinking around, and it's guaranteed, and AI never decides alone. So we need to make sure that people understand that this is the promise that these three things always are satisfied before we deploy. So I'm going to run the entire cognitive bridge. Right now, you can see here in this slide, it says live demo. So what I'm going to show you right now is the entire process. It's the vision of this process. So we're going to go through all these three different tools. First, we're going to see how the portfolio builder will work, and how it turns scattered data and notes into a real profile of some students. Then we go from that profile and we choose some specific topic that we wanted to teach this person, and we generate a learning path, right? Once we learn that being generated, then we can go to the last step, which is basically the delivery. In all this process, we'll see how me, that I'm going to be acting as, the teaching team, I'm going to approve, edit, and make sure that I am the last decision maker when it comes to deliver this to some of the students. We'll try to do as many as we can as the time goes by. Let me switch very quickly to this. I'm guessing you're seeing this right now, right? So I'm gonna be looking at the other screen with you instead of looking at the camera. So apologies for that. But what you see right now is some sort of like the vision of constructing a tool like this. On the top right here, you will see, well, this is for potentially your institution right here, and we'll see how this is the 3 steps that we're going to take. Okay, so we have here like only our 4 students as examples. We have Emma, as I said earlier, that she has ADHD. It's already been prescribed. Luca is an autistic individual. We have Sophia with dyslexia, and we have Kai, who is a gifted and is an exceptional student, right? So we have notes. I wanted to check here, the left side of the screen. This is the input streams of data that we get, right? So we might have teachers' observations, as you can see here, and we can actually read some of them so that we can see what's the profile going to look like once we generate the profile. It says here, Emma frequently loses focus during lectures longer than 10 minutes. She excels in hands-on activities and group discussions, but struggles with independent written work. She often forgets to bring the material and has difficulty following multi-step instruction. However, when engaged in topics she finds interesting, her focus is and output is exceptional, right? Then we have also assessment results. So some assessment from some either psychologists, then have less this assessment in here, verbal comprehension, we have memory index. So this is some real results from testing that we have. Then we have behavioral notes, frequently out of the seat, responds well to positive reinforcement, best performance if it's in the first 20 minutes, and so on and so forth, right? We have parents and family input. The parents can get involved, we can get input, we can capture all this. AI helps us to capture all this immediately. So imagine now when you have this transcription system that capture everything that I'm saying right now, and it's going to be captured in these sessions, right? And then we have also captured like even their own student self-report. All of that is ready to generate a profile. Let's actually see how this profile gets built. This is actually, by the way, this is in real time. So nothing is scripted. This is the vision of what an AI system using specific information can actually help us to build a profile. And obviously following some specific procedures, as I said earlier, highest standards and best procedures for that specific task, which is building a profile. As you can see, this is happening in real time. Again, this is not scripted. It's going through all of this, and we have this profile being built. It gives us the cognitive strengths and high confidence in the assessment. So we see the assessment here on the side in different colors, based on specifically what has been said or where the notes have been taken. This is related to the notes. So we can go through this. We have learning challenges described here. We have sensory profile, which is a visual learning, no specific visual sensitivities, auditory, tactile, optimal learning conditions. So here you can see absolutely everything. And as a teacher, I can read, I can approve, I can edit, I can change. We're gonna approve this here. And then we're gonna go to the next step, which is we're gonna try to build a learning path from this specific profile, which is Emma with ADHD, and we're gonna choose some specific topics. So now, as soon as I click on the path generator, which is the learning path generation, we have the profile that is already being built here. And now we have topics. We have a curriculum in our institution. We know that we want to teach Emma something, and we're gonna decide what topic here. Imagine that this is part of science or math or history or geography, language and literature, economics, or some vocational studies. We can talk about, for example, let's choose randomly. I would like the people in the room to intervene, but just to keep it fast. Let's say we go and choose nutrition and health eating. We generate the plan. This is in real time. This is not prescripted. It is basically generating how can we teach Emma this specific topic with that specific curriculum that has attached to this topic. How can we teach Emma this thing? And it's going to build it, and then we're going to deliver it. which means once we see what the path is as a teacher, I'm going to decide what needs to be changed, what needs to stay, and we're going to approve it, and then it's going to be delivered. Once it's delivered, we'll see how Emma would experience that learning about nutrition and health eating. So as you can see, it takes some time. This is in real time, obviously. So something shows up. We're gonna clearly here on the left side, on the right side, sorry, it says here, your review, you have the final word, right? It's clear that this is what we need to do. So this is some proposals, and it says, Detective Emma, what's really on your food? And it proposes, a way to deliver that information about nutrition. And there's like, talk it out loud, fuel versus repair, stand up short. This is a break that we need to give Emma because she needs, after 10, 15 minutes, we need to give her a break. Movement, yeah, here it is. Stand up, movement, break. Design your power plate because we're talking about nutrition, and quick checkup on nutrition. So we can always approve and edit each one of them or reject it and change it. But for simplicity and because time is flying by very quickly, we've been already 40 something minutes here since they started. Let's approve all. Let's approve all, and let's deliver this to Emma. So we approved all, everything has changed, and we have the thumbs up. Now we deliver this to Emma. So now we're going back to a hypothetical interface where Emma logs in, and we can see here it says, welcome Emma, short burst, big, are you ready? Are you ready to win? So we start here, and Emma, as we saw earlier, we saw that this is the detective Emma. What's really on your food? And now Emma reads this. Read is 8 minutes, and we can go to the next lesson or the next part of the lesson. Here you can see this is a step 1 out of 6 in this topic, which is nutrition and health. And Emma goes to the next one, and it describes here fuel versus repair about the nutrition. We can go through the lessons that we have created associated to this specific topic if you guys wish. We can see here it says, your turn to think out loud with a partner. Picture 2 people. One is about to run a big race. The other just scraped their knee and needs to heal. Talk about these questions. Which nutrient gives the runner quick energy? And which nutrient helps the knee repair itself? So you can see how this is becoming now, Emma's starting to think about how this happens. And then we have another exercise here that helps us to understand how nutrition works. Again, if you see me a little bit hesitant here in this, it's because this was built in real time. So I didn't know what was going to be built and how to deal with this. So what we see here, for instance, is like put the journey of food in order from first bite to energy for your cells. So obviously it says, this is the first step, second step, and you choose, tap on the tile and then drop in the whatever it is that comes first. So if we read, it says your cell uses the nutrients, food travels down on your stomach, you chew, nutrients after enters your bloodstream, nutrients are absorbed through walls on the intestine. Okay, so it feels that the first step is you chew the food. It should be the first. The second one, food travels into your stomach. The next one should be your cells, and nutrients are absorbed through the intestine. They enter the bloodstream, and your cell uses nutrients for that. And now we check. Oh, that was perfect. So I was doing it right. If it's wrong, obviously you can have multiple tries, and if it's wrong, multiple tries, you can help the student know how to do this. Anyway, this is basically to teach you how this works, right? So here it's a movement break. Emma, it's already been like 3 different sections here. She read, she resolved this problem, and now she decides to that it needs a little break. So when the break is over, there's another design of your power plate, and the lessons going on and on, right? You can see how this is the end of it, and here we have a quick quiz at the end, right? Which nutrient is your body's main quick source of energy? Carbohydrates, water, vitamins, and fats. So we can put quick carbohydrates. Next question, to repair a sore muscle after sports, which nutrient helps the most? Protein. for instance. And we can go on and go on. So you can see how this works. If we go back for a quick second here, we see, for instance, we check some other profile. We check Sophia. I want to run very quickly so you can see, for example, Sophia up here is being diagnosed with dyslexia, right? So we're going to build the profile very quickly. This happens in real time. And what I want to show you is that following highest standards and best practices from the pedagogical point of view, we can actually take all this information that we have about a student that keeps growing as we have more information, and we can build this perfect profile so that we can tailor a good learning lessons. I wanted to use, for example, this particular one because I know that dyslexia, it makes it difficult for students to read and to write a lot. So how do we deliver? Let's approve. How do we deliver something for somebody with dyslexia? How can we make sure that we can help them learn? Well, let's use any topic here. Let's actually use the water cycle. And this is obviously assuming that these are very young students. This obviously can be extended to students of all ages, from schools, institutes, colleges, like near university, and even university. We can use any of these tools to actually provide a proper path to every student. We're going to see very quickly how this develops, and then we're going to continue to our next part of the presentation. I think this is part of the core of the presentation, where we can see how we can understand the student, how we can tailor the learning path, and how we can deliver it in a way that is good for them. So let's assume that this was all good. It's a new lesson about how the water cycle in the planet is, and we're gonna basically say that we approve it all. And let's see what this is about. You see, for instance, here you see that Sophia, that is being diagnosed with dyslexia, it needs to listen more than reading. So here's the listening. Listen to the amazing journey of water drop. So this is just an example. We can read it out loud. So now, in this case, Sophia is wearing her headphones and she can listen to this. Maybe you can listen to it. Okay. Well, it's just basically background noise, right? So basically, you can see how this is being read out loud for Sophia. Thank you so much for letting me know. So basically, this is read out loud for her. She doesn't have to be reading it. She doesn't have to get confused, and this can enter. Obviously, this is just basically a vision and a simple tool, but we can generate even videos with the current tools that we have in AI. We can generate videos that can show this journey, the journey of the water, and how the water evaporates, and so on and so forth. So really interesting new approaches. For example, here, this is what you see here. Watch and see the cycle. This is a video that could be delivered. And we have now, again, very similar processes here to put, after you watch or you listen to this lesson, then you can go basically and try to drag the things in the proper way, and so on. So we saw how two different individuals can get taught. I'm navigating to other ones. We know that for example, Kai is exceptional, so it's going to be probably going into a more in-depth and accelerated learning path. And I just use only 4 different examples. Luca here is autistic. There's a specific notes in the profile. I just don't want to go through all this. I think that you get the point of the vision of how we can first understand the individual, how we can basically tailor a specific learning path, and how we can deliver this path in a proper way that is just matching this profile anyway. We're going to go back to the presentation. We'll go back later to the next steps. So basically what you just saw right now is the first bridge that I described, and you can see it now. You can kind of understand better this image that I started with that was a little bit too crowded, right? So we have discussed the left side of the image, and this was the first bridge. The left side is the cognitive bridge, as you call it, that joins and connects the institutions with the students. Now, we learned that if we understand better our students, we can definitely tailor and better design the learning path for them, and then we can deliver it in the right way with the right format. So we have answered in this first part of the presentation, and the biggest part of the presentation, we have answered the first question, which is, are we teaching in the right way? And the answer is yes, we can, and we're able to do it with AI tools that can accelerate and enhance our own human capabilities as professionals. But I wanted to say some big but here. But a perfect method like this one still can fail if we teach the wrong content, right? If we teach the wrong content, we can still fail, even if we teach it in the right way. So now, the second question is, how does the institution know what to teach? Can we actually answer the question of, how do we know what we should teach tomorrow for our students? And this is the way that we actually can anticipate and build the right curriculum. I call that predictive intelligence, and this is coming from a place where I'm sure many of you have fallen into the trap of trying to prepare a curriculum, and then as soon as the curriculum, after one long year or months of work, gets into the classroom, it's already outdated because society has moved so fast. So, for instance, imagine a dashboard like this that shows you what's coming. In this case, in this image, you see, for example, AI literacy. We know by collecting data from the national statistics departments of every country or Europe as a whole, for instance. We know, for example, that we need to enhance AI literacy because it's rising fast. We need to improve data skills because they're critical. We need to enhance emotional intelligence because in the workforce, emotional intelligence is becoming, some of highly importance. It's very valuable, and it brings sustainability into the system. So all of this, what if you could actually see all this shifts before your eyes and become obvious to everyone? If you can see this ahead of time, imagine what you could do to prepare for the students, because now you see it in advance. The opportunity, or what we call here the opportunity intelligence, is basically take the data from society to help us understand where the world is going to. But I wanted to make sure that we understand this. What this means is that we all know that the pace of technology is accelerating, right? So, for example, 7 years ago, we didn't know what ChatGPT is, or we didn't know what a prompt engineering is, and we didn't need to learn it back then. It didn't exist. 5 years ago, AI maybe wasn't even in standard curriculum in small vocational schools, for instance. In universities, AI is being taught for years, right? But in vocational schools, even right now, for young adults that need to go into the workforce, maybe AI now needs to be there. Now, 2 weeks ago, actually, in fact, right there in the Canary Islands, a brand new course was approved for the very first time that included AI in vocational schools, as they call it in Spanish, right? Formación profesional, professional vocational schools. So these things now, we need to anticipate these things. Institutions need to be aware of what's happening in the world so that they can actually anticipate and build the right things for the future, instead of lagging behind. Now, one thing that is critical that I wanted to mention is there's a twist on all this, and by twist, I mean that society doesn't always move in the right direction, right? So we know for a fact, collecting data, from the data that we can collect and we know that youth mental health is in crisis, right? Obesity and sedentarism is also alive, is an epidemic worldwide. Screen addiction is literally reshaping teenage brains. Loneliness is rising. Most tools only chase the positive trends, right? The hot skills. How can we teach the hot skills and the growing careers to make our our young professionals succeed in society. But also, we must look at what is broken and provide fixes and help to build a good habits, educationally speaking, so that we can solve this. And to this part, we call it problem intelligence, because your students shouldn't be only trained on how to ride the next technology wave. They can be trained to fix what is wrong, and institutions have that kind of um, need to teach the right things. So let's take a moment here to think about this. So the point that I'm trying to make here is what I'm proposing here has a deeper purpose. The goal of education is not to turn humans into machines in the service of the market, into this hamsters running on a hamster wheel, obsessed on making more money. That is not about this, right? It's the goal is liberation in the sense that we want to teach better, so that people can get to spend their time on what it matters the most in life. So they can have a more dignified and a more meaningful existence. So education is not just preparing people to work just for the sake of working, but it's preparing the people for life. And in this case, we can learn from data on both sides, what society is evolving towards and what society is lacking, and what are the problems of society that we need to take care of. How can we build whatever educational tools so that in the future, when we go into society, we can actually have less loneliness or less addiction to screens? How can we create tools and things? So that's what educational institutions can highlight and bring up in their educational path. So I'm going to make a quick demo here to show you what the vision is for this predictive intelligence that is going to use the opportunity, basically learning on where are the tendencies of society, and then learning also what are the problems of society, and try to build strategies from the educational institution point of view. I mean, you as a school or as a university or as an institute, what can you do to prepare your students much better for the future, in both career-wise, so they can fit better in society and be always updated and be on the top, excuse me, and how to actually prepare for what the problems are. So let's kind of switch very quickly back into the web page here. I'm going to click in here. Let me refresh this data. So what you see here is the vision of what I just described to you. On this tab, you see here the opportunity intelligence. What I did here is to take public data from the EU labor market, right? I extract all the information that we have, and we can plot it, we can process it. We have AI tools that help us process all this information and convert it into a predictive tool, right? Prediction is nothing new. Prediction, we've been using prediction to predict what the prices of housing is, or prices of gas, or whatever it is. We can predict it to what's the next Netflix movie that you're gonna like the most based on your past profile. So we can use data to actually predict pretty well. So here we can see what the tendencies are, what the predictions are, and the idea is we can use now this as a tool to help us understand what's going to happen in the future. Now let's take a quick look at problem intelligence. So problem intelligence is the other thing. We're collecting data from the same type of sources, but we are actually addressing what are the problems that we're capturing. So here you can see, as I described earlier, because it's a well-known fact, but automatically this was coming up. It says youth mental health crisis, right? Academic and social pressure, reduced in-person connection, always on comparison culture. It's always like this, and it's a fact that has been since the appearance of social networks. We see this, so that we have plenty of data since the beginning of Facebook and before that. rising of sedentarism, obesity, people work so much sitting down, and so on. So we have here like some predictions and recommendations based on the data that we have collected from the EU public records, right? So we have all this, right? We have like 4 major problems that we have identified. We have the severity here index. So this tool allows us to, in a very easy to absorb way as humans, you don't have to be an AI expert, you don't have to be a mathematician or a statistician, and you can actually learn a lot. So putting all this together, we go now into the 3rd tab here, where my mouse is going around, and we have to figure out what can we do with all this. So we have looked at the opportunities, where the markets are going, where the tendencies are going, where the technology is going, and now we see what the problems that exist today. So now let's think about all this and see what could happen. So we come here and we say, take all this information and let's start to generate recommendations for our educational institution about what can we do with our students in the next future. Imagine that you do this like now in June or July to prepare for what September is coming, when the students join school again. What changes do we need to make in our curriculum to be on top of the game? Again, this is being done in real time, as you can see on the screen. Nothing is scripted. So I'm using real data with real AI tools just to show you what the vision is. Obviously, this one in particular, as I said, this is not typical one that you run every day. This is, you probably do it during some time at the beginning of the summer when you're preparing for the next school year, or maybe you can do it in a year or 2 in advance. But technology is moving extremely fast and you have to do it very quick. So here, I mean, we can read a little bit of this. It says, across the EU, the sharpest curriculum gaps are AI literacy, sustainability, data skills, and converge with a deepened youth well-being crisis marked by mental health, screen addiction and social isolation. The specific opportunity is to teach engaging digital and green competences through human-centered health protective pedagogy. So, if we look, we see here what needs to be done immediately. This is the immediate, this semester. What is the short term, 1 to 2 years? What is the strategic long term? Each one of them can get converted into an action plan. So if we look, for example, this is, let's look at this first one, for instance. Introduce a cross-curriculum critical AI and digital well-being module that teaches how recommendation system, attention economies, and generative AI work, while explicitly analyzing the link to screen addiction. So you see, this is telling us that, yes, there's an incredible accelerated growth on the use of AI tools in everywhere, from the personal point of view to the professional point of view. And when we're teaching students this curriculum, this specific new module, it's helping people to understand what are the new tools, how can we use them, but at the same time be aware of the negative parts and how to control the negative aspects of it. Let's take a look and see how do we turn this into an action plan. Like basically, what would be this module like if we need to introduce it? And then it's going to be maybe approved by the teaching team. So this is running in real time. Again, as I say continuously, this is not scripted, so I don't know exactly what's saying. We need to read it. So objective, deliver 6-session cross-curricular module to at least two class groups, roughly 50 students this semester, with 80% completing and reflective digital well-being. So who's the owner? The head of the curriculum is going to be the owner who approves this. What is the team? First steps, week 1 and 2. Here we can see what the intent of the first 2 weeks is. And basically, this is a complete new module. What are the milestones that we're trying to achieve with this module, and so on. What's needed for each student, what are the prerequisites, and what is needed to teach it. Start here, the pilot. We can do a first pilot, and we can do all this. So then we can, save it, change it. This is basically a helping tool to work on this. Any of this, including the strategic long term. So if we take another minute to look at the strategic long term, let's take a look at this one, for instance. It says, establish a school-wide competency framework where AI literacy, sustainability, and data skills are always taught in service of a human or ecological problem with a structured reflection on personal well-being and digital autonomy. So this tells us that students that are getting educated today, they definitely need to put more effort on, AI literacy, obviously, sustainability, and data skills. So no matter what you're studying, you have to have certain knowledge of data skills, because data is the new gold. So we can turn this into a plan and see in the long term. This is a strategic long term in for 2 to 5 years on how we can start to get our kids acquainted to this. At the end of the day, I guess you're getting the picture. This is the predictive intelligence tool that allows us to look at society and what society has collected through the years and help using this data to decide what we need to do today. Again, I insist, many of you guys have created modules or full school years just to be frustrated by the fact that as soon as you deliver it, it feels like it's already obsolete. And that is trying to prevent that. Not only prevent it from the frustration point of view, but prevent that the kids don't study something that is already truly obsolete. So let's take a quick look at this. Objective, within 4 years, enable a documented cross-curriculum competency framework across at least 80% of subject departments, with every student completing a minimum of 2 problem-based projects per year that integrate a technical skill, a real-world problem, and a structural well-being reflection. This is actually, if you think about it, this is extremely important. I mean, me as a person who's involved in tech, I can tell you, every single career that you're doing today, every single one requires to be having some sort of technical skills within you, because those are part of your minimum skills. So now having AI literacy is almost like knowing how to read and write. You cannot become whatever it is that you wanted to do without reading and writing. So this is actually an incredible tool to help you, execute and materialize this in truth, and how to make it happen. Your institutions can own this, can tailor that, but they can be helped. So in the right hands, this massive capabilities can become very powerful tools to help teach our kids the best thing. So you get to hear the point. We're going to go back to the presentation is about to finish. What I just showed you right now is basically the 2 bridges. I showed you on the left side, how we can teach better, how we can teach the right thing. And on the right side, we have now answered the question, are we teaching the right thing? And the answer is yes. We can use predictive intelligence that is divided into kind of 2 major streams: the opportunity intelligence, which takes where is the society heading, and then the problem intelligence, and put them together to create a curriculum that is going to be better for the students. It's going to be making them better suited for that when they hit society and the workforce, they're going to be in the right spot. We also, as I said, we looked at the left side, where now knowing each individual and understanding each individual, we can tailor this education path that now is actually teaching the right thing, and we're teaching it in the right way. There's one more edge that I wanted to discuss, that it takes only 30 seconds, that it deserves a little bit of time, right? This is the third edge, is the bottom one, the one that connects students with society. This is where now we have, obviously we have seen, all of us, the AI tools that exist to help us do our job. Once we are no longer studying, which actually this doesn't exist, and we'll see it in a second, we're always learning. but there's AI tools that exist that you have to be aware of. So this, we close the cycle, because we want our students to go out in the workforce being familiar with what exists out there. You know, uh, it happens too often that you get into a job, and you're a very young, you know, just a young student that just finished last year, and you get to a job just to learn that that position that you've been studying for the last 3 years or 4 years, they're using certain tools that you have never seen in your life. That is a mismatch. So that's why this loop helps us to make sure that this doesn't happen. Finally, I wanted to highlight that these are 3 bridges, all powered by AI. It's a one living system, meaning that we don't stay in one vertex all our lives. You know, we have been all students at some point, but even teachers need to learn new things, and they need to be part of this loop. They have to learn how to be better teachers, how to use AI tools to help them move faster. What are the things that they should be focusing on, and so on and so forth. And society also feeds on all this, right? So everybody, it could become an entrepreneur. I create a new business, and now my new business feeds educational institutions, because I need workers that actually help me materialize my vision as an entrepreneur. So this is a living cycle. So finally, we're about to finish, and this is and here's the a truth that I love. We are all in this. This is what I was trying to tell you earlier. Our whole lives, professionals, you know, need new skills, become students, educators that need new learning capabilities. They have to become students, and this is the life cycle. We are all in this triangle all our lives. It's continuous. We are continuously learning, we're continuously innovating, and we're continuously trying to stay within this triangle. One last thing is, I know that many of you might be kind of like thinking, you know, scared, right? The fear of AI will replace teachers. And as I said earlier, I think that this is going to be completely the opposite, meaning that right now we know that teachers and humans might make the last decision. So this is an enhancing tool. This is like giving you superpowers. Your new superpower is AI tools used in the right way. The second fear that I see many people may have is like, I don't know where to start because I never used AI tools like this, and I don't know exactly, I'm not an AI expert. Who's going to build this AI tool vision that you're telling me about? How is my institution going to do this? And when they do it, how can I use it? The one thing I tell you is, one tool at a time, take one step, and it's going to be a slow process. If you're not aware of what's happening, don't get scared, because it's coming to stay. So it's coming to stay, just to stay put, and it's going to be the same as any other huge technology. The only difference is like it's moving fast. So you need to be responsible of moving with it. Finally, there's a lot of fear about, you know, using the students' data and what happens with this data and all that. So fortunately, especially in the EU, we have regulation that helps us stay safe. And if we follow this regulation, we shouldn't worry about anything else. Like, we follow the regulation, we build the frameworks that helps us maintain this legally speaking. And we have a liability towards the institutions, like the legal and the government, but also, most importantly, I think we have a liability and a responsibility towards the students. So we began today with 2 questions. Are we teaching the right way? And are we teaching the right thing? And today we have seen that AI, as your tool, under your control, can help you answer both questions, and that this answer is yes. So not by replacing you, but by amplifying and give you superpowers, truly. So these 2 questions were answered. We know that there is one bridge that helps us to answer this question, and that bridge is the AI. The tool exists. You just watched a vision of what it could look like. Um, the vision is clear, and there's only one missing thing, which is the people to truly be willing to build it. Like myself, I built these tools for you to see the vision that I had, but obviously materializing this in reality and putting it in the hands of institutions, educators, psychologists, pedagogues, and professionals all in this room and beyond is what it needs to happen. And this is your task right now. Your task is to make sure that this gets done. And it can be done by people like me who are experts. So let me leave you with this question now. Are you willing to build something like this to improve the professionals of the future for our next generations, for our kids and our grandkids? So thank you so much. Again, my name is Munir Jojo Verge. I am right now the co-founder and the CEO of Cortical Robotics, and it's been more than a pleasure to help you understand my vision and the vision that I definitely share with the Erasmus Learning Academy. Thank you to Isabel, to Katerina and Elena for helping me through this process and for making this possible. It was a lot of work, and I know that they will appreciate what I've done here. So now I'm gonna leave the floor for questions.
Yes, I will take this opportunity. Well, first of all, to thank you, Munir, because it was really, I don't know how to describe it, but it was incredible. Thank you very much for showing us the tools. Actually, I'm gonna take this opportunity to also ask you a question. When you were showing us the first time you showed us the tool where I created the activity based on the student's profile, I saw that some activities had low confidence and some activities had high confidence. What does it mean, like confidence of the student with the topic, or if you want to boost the confidence of the student, or I just wanted to ask. Yes, this.
Let me unmute. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Let me unmute. That's a great question. So this is actually the confidence of the system providing you with that information based on the data collected, right?
Okay.
So we, for example, when we read some of the comments of the teacher, and we have some sort of assessment results for this specific one that you see here, there's high confidence because this comes from directly from the assessment, right? It says, you know, according to this WIC, you know, the speed of index of reading is 86 for Emma, the memory is this. So we have high confidence that this is what's happening to Emma. This is the diagnostics, and this is what we believe that she's going to be. But at the end of the day, this can be changed in the sense that maybe a teacher has not collected the data, but they have this information in their heads and they know Emma very well, and they can say, oh, you know what? No, I know that Emma, this is exactly what's happening to her. So they can actually, you know, assess that. But yes, this is the confidence of the system giving you information.
Okay. Thank you. And I also just wanted to ask you another thing. While I'm asking the second question, if you have any questions but you don't want to unmute yourself, you can also write in the chat and we're going to read them. So if you want to ask anything, feel free to do it in the chat. I just have a question because when I was a teacher trainer, I had a lot of teachers that were not really confident with the use of AI. So I wanted to ask you, like, what is something that someone can do to improve their knowledge on AI, like if they are starting from zero? Okay, so what do you recommend? Like YouTube videos, or like buying a course online, like something easy that.
Yeah, that's a great question, and it addresses the point that I had before when I talked and I said, you know, this fear because this is coming quick, it's coming fast. Definitely, it must be, unfortunately, it must be a proactive choice. So you have to really want to understand what you're facing. You want it to be ready to learn new things, and you have to be aware of the problems that AI brings with. So I wouldn't recommend any specific platforms because I don't really know, but definitely something that that is connected to your field, meaning that this is not going to be AI for, it's not like, oh, I wanted to learn how to use ChatGPT much better. This has to be kind of like, you have to do a little bit of research and find courses and things that could help you understand this much better. In fact, I would say the chatbots of today, your ChatGPT, your Gemini, your Claude, it can actually help you to search online for things and courses that could be actually matching what you're doing as a pedagogue, as a psychologist, as a whatever that works in the institution. It can help you to try to find what we should do to get up to date. But yeah, it's a must to get into the wave. This is my last sentence here to answer this. It would be, imagine that this is a tsunami and you are now either surfing the tsunami or the tsunami is going to crush you, literally. So you don't want to be left behind. You just need to be happy surfing that wave until it ends.
Perfect. Thank you very much. I see that Alexander has raised a hand,
Yes.
and then we also have questions in the chat. So Alexander, you can go.
Okay, thank you. First of all, Munir, I first of all wanted to thank you for the presentation. It was really amazing and helpful. I mentioned that at one point you mentioned how sometimes society is going in a wrong direction, and those problems are real, like screen addiction, then lack of physical activity, mental health issues, and etc. and etc. Are you worried that at one point that will create some sort of resistance towards AI and technology, especially in education? As somebody who is working with teachers, what I mentioned that a few years back and even recently, even nowadays, still AI and technology is something that is considered an innovative teaching method. But in the same time, there are schools and educational institutions that are promoting lack of technology in their schools and educational systems as innovative teaching methods. So what's your opinion on that?
Yeah, it's a great question. Well, thank you so much for the compliment. But it's difficult because it has it's a dual problem. So AI, it's coming here to stay. And if you don't adapt, your institution is going to be relegated. It's going to stay behind. You need to look at this from as I said earlier, this is it's a superpower. So it's educating the people that is in charge of making the decisions to understand that this used in the proper way and guaranteeing safety and correctness, it could be a superpower. It's like everything else. It's going to be faced with rejection and it's always like this. Every innovative industrial advancement that we had in the last 150 years, it's always been rejected, but it's always been here to stay. So smart people nowadays need to realize that if I reject this technology, my institution, my school is only going to dive in and die because I'm not going to be providing the right things. It's always going to be some people saying, no, let's get rid of all the AI. But the reality that I explained today is that if we get rid of all the AI, we don't get adaptive teaching tools, which are beautiful, wonderful, and gives the chances to students with this specific situations to learn. And then the other problem is, as I said, is like you're going to create curriculums that as soon as they get delivered, they're going to be obsolete because you're not using the right tools. So convincing people about this, I think, is relatively easy. They have to see it. Now they have to see it, but they have to be safe. They have, like, the people who make the decision need to feel that they are safe in terms of, like, I'm not bringing something that is going to destroy the kids or destroy the institution. That's you guys have to educate the people who make the decision to do that.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. But just to add up on it, how much do you think that the leadership, from your experience, also, I mean, big companies and leaders of it, how much of a misconception of what you just explained is coming from them, or can they actually help people to get more educated when it comes to AI?
You know what? I would respond that with one sentence. It's all about critical thinking. Critical thinking skills requires gathering data. You cannot attach yourself to an opinion just because you cherry picked a situation and you saw, oh, this kid commits suicide because they were using ChatGPT and now they're dead. Yes, there are going to be cases like this, but we need to learn from all the cases and learn from everything. So critical thinking requires to see the entire picture, the good, the very good, all the way to the very bad, and be able to decide how we can keep everything with guardrails. This is a tool that is here to stay. So I'm telling you, critical thinking skills and learning how to answer the questions of somebody who can, it's some cherry picking, and they say, oh no, because this happens. Well, what you're doing right now is cherry picking. You're only looking at the bad side of things. So if you have really strong critical thinking skills, you will basically enhance everything by that. So again, my short answer is using critical thinking skills.
Couldn't agree more. Thank you very much.
So I see that we also have 3 questions in the chat. And then I think this is it. So Olena is asking, do you think it will be difficult for teachers to become skilled enough to implement this? Or is it something that with a bit of preparation anyone can do?
That's a great question. So no, as I showed you today in the vision that I had, the idea is always have in mind that this must be the best user experience. And when I say user experience, I mean both, right? So we talked about the 2 different vertices, the educational institutions and the students. So it has to be the best user experience for the teachers also. A teacher doesn't need to be an AI expert. The teacher needs to be just a user of this. It's our responsibility, and then when I say our, it's like people like me that could build this kind of tools, to build it in a way that every single teacher can use it in a friendly way. You know, it has to be friendly for everyone. So the answer is no, you don't need to be an expert. You should not feel that you need to be an expert. If you feel like you need to be an expert, then the fault is on me. I'm not doing a good job. You should feel comfortable. This should be natural. It should get to you almost like using right now the internet. Everybody uses the internet. So if you know how to use the internet, it should feel comfortable. Let's try to read the next one, right? Where's the next one? Oh, I don't see. No more? Oh, yes. Yeah.
You can read it if you want, if you prefer.
Yeah, it says, thank you for the presentation. Very interesting. Well, thank you so much. Have you seen examples of schools integrating AI tools and practices as a long-term educational strategy rather than an isolated episode? What do you think makes a difference? Well, that's a great question. The short answer to this is no, we are in early stages, and that's the reason why we're having this chat, right? If this existed for a very long time, we wouldn't be having this talk. It would be already obsolete. But I have to admit that I gave a very similar chat to, as an example, I'm cherry picking here, but as an example to the delegation or the Department of Education of the Canary Islands government. So I told them how we can implement this tool. So is people interested? Yes. Is the young people interested in implementing these tools? Yes, because they know the power of these tools. Again, if you use these tools in the right context with the right guardrails, you can create a huge difference. Now, answering the second part of the question, which says, what do you think it makes a difference? It makes a difference to have young, influential leaders that can actually start these processes. For example, I would love for any of you guys that have some sort of power decision to reach out to create a pilot program. You know, we can always create pilot programs, small things, very cost efficient, not too expensive, that we can test. So the idea is like at some point, somebody needs to get the ball rolling. And it requires 2 parts. It requires the institution understanding the value of this, and then it requires professionals like me or anybody else that can build these things very consciously, with the conscious of, you know, the safety and the guardrails that we have to build in. Let's tackle the next question here. It says, very interesting presentation. This is from Susana Exposito. Thank you. A feedback we receive a lot from teachers during training courses when it comes to implementing innovative activities is that management tends to resist these changes because they are afraid it will slow down the program and national curriculum. Yes, This is a normal behavior, and we have to face it. It is absolutely normal behavior. There's no way that we can change that. The only thing to change is to understand that. Here's how I would say it. Imagine that you knew that sooner or later this technology is going to get there. So if you sit down, and this is particularly to you, Susanna. So if you sit down and you say, I know that it's going to happen. So if you sit down with this vision, then you can start to create the right kind of influential tools to influence these decision makers. It's going to be resistance. Trust me, it's going to be resistance. But those who change the fastest in the right way, they're going to be the most successful individuals, the most successful institutions, because they're going to provide, top level educational systems. One last part of this question, yes, and it says, do you have any advice for teachers that need to convince headmasters, administrators, and to do that? Yeah, that's a great question. You know what? To be honest with you, this requires influential speaking. So the same way I said earlier, critical thinking. This is also communication skills. The word is communication skills. If you really want to do something like this, use this AI tools to help you learn communication skills, because there are really influential techniques to be used to do that. Now, it's also a reality that sometimes you get faced with very robust rejection, and it's not based on reasoning. So some people don't like to reason about certain things. You can explain to them, you can show them data, and they're always going to say no. This is the people who's anchored on their own things. There's going to be dissonance in the brain if you try to let them change. People sometimes don't reason on data. I mean, just think about conspiracy theories. You can explain with data to conspiracy theories, and they would say no. They just say no. So again, long story short, communication skills, and then know your other side. If the other side is not going to change, don't waste your time. Any more questions? I would love to answer more questions, but I know that we have a lot of timing now. It's been
Yes, for us it's
what?
not a problem. It's more for you that you are very busy. So
No, I mean, I already took the time, so I have
okay.
plenty of time. So
Okay. So I think we can
okay.
just read these two last.
Yes. I'm sorry, I'm just having to read it like here on the side. It says, Maria Fernanda says, I absolutely love this presentation. As a teacher, I can see how valuable this tool could be for creating meaningful learning portfolios, especially for neurodivergent students. Absolutely. So thank you so much for, okay, so this wasn't a question. Thank you so much for the compliment, Maria. Ella Projects, thank you. I have another quick question. What are some of the best practices to use AI for students' needs while preserving their privacy, as we are, dealing with very sensitive information? That's something that I wanted to mention earlier, which is that the institutions need to own this kind of tools. So this kind of tools, you create them with the knowledge that you're going to be handling sensitive information. Right now in Europe and in the United States, we have legal frameworks to make sure that all this information gets protected, right? So we just need to follow these rules. A quick example I give you, when you're using this AI tools that are going to be looking at some data to, for example, generate a profile, you can use localized localized basically tools, like your program can be local, or like I always say, I have many similar projects like this, and I use servers that are in Germany that follow the EU AI standards and frameworks. So the everything stays within the EU, and everything stays right there. The data is not being used to train any models or anything like that. You can guarantee that. It's easy to guarantee. It's relatively easy. And this is actually the responsibility of the creators of these tools. if they know the rules, they have to follow the rules. I think any more questions? No, that was the last one. Anything else? Anybody has any questions about the predictive tools? Anything in general about the presentation? I can go anywhere if people is, you know, if have any questions. Any more questions? Don't be shy. This is the last time you're gonna see me. By the way, I got
Well,
my email in this slide, so if anybody wants
I
to reach out, then they can reach out. They can reach out to me, and I'll be more than happy to, if I have the time, to dedicate to some answers to some things.
I think we have someone.
Well, yes, the very last question from myself.
Absolutely.
First of all, thank you so much. I think that I'm less resistant to AI in education than before this webinar. So thank you for that.
I'm
And the
glad.
question would be about what is your recommendation? How early we should what should be the age of the children when we present and where we allow AI to for them? Sorry, I'm not sure whether I'm clear, but I'm with my children,
No,
so
I
I'm a
get
little
it.
bit. Yeah.
Yeah,
How early we should allow them to use it? Yeah, I think that
yeah.
would be the.
So Gosha, thank you so much for the question, and thank you for the compliment. I'm not an expert, but so I'm starting saying I'm not an expert, but there is already early studies on the use of digital devices on kids that tells you what are the effects. So my short answer for you is we need data to understand the implications of the use of digital devices on younger kids. Now, there is data enough to show that kids in early development, as in 5 years, 6 years, there's a detrimental brain development with the excess of screen time. So screen time might be helpful because it's going to accelerate a lot of the neural connections that they have to make because it's very, very intense. The visual cortex is the biggest part of the brain, so we absorb everything. But it is true that there's need to be compartmentalized. It has to be measured. So again, I'm not an expert. I don't know exactly there's a lot of studies out there. So I think the answer would be try to collect data on the actual studies that they exist today. But I would not give, students 5 to 6 years and younger. I would keep the minimum screen time, minimum screen time. And they obviously don't have attention span too much. So 5-10 minutes, something like this. It would be probably enhancing the process. Remember that I know I'm taking too long for that, but remember that every single thing that we will use, it will always have a dual impact. It will always have some sort of a positive impact, but then it will always have some sort of negative impact. And we need to discover those. So in this particular case, it is also clear that the use of certain digital systems can help kids to have a better spatiotemporal understanding and development. And this is happening because what they see, it's so amazing. So hopefully this answers your question.
Yes, I think that again we can use AI in order to collect that data, right? And then we can create our own opinion on that. Thank you so much.
Oh yeah, my pleasure. Thank you. Any other questions? Anything else? I can actually, for the last 30 seconds, I can go quickly backwards to see if there's anything that anybody sees that requires attention. This is like your typical last call. I hope this presentation helped you to understand much better how we can use these tools for the benefits, like how we can actually limit the detrimental part of these tools. And I wanted to make it really practical. That's why I use the app, so you can actually see how this is not smoke. I'm not telling you that this could be done. I've done it myself, and this is a demonstration that this can be done. The sooner we adopt these new technologies, the better it's going to be for us as educators and for the students, so that they can actually have a smoother ride through education years, through the school years. It's going to be much, much better. I mean, I would have loved to have this when I was younger. I would have excelled more.
I just have a comment. Firstly, I want to thank you for collaboration and for contributing to this webinar. It was like huge help from your side to me also. Regarding AI part, I actually wanted to say that, as I said, this is the comment, just maybe opinion, that like many people usually think about AI just maybe on some basic level. As you said, Gemini, ChatGPT, and we do not dig deep enough to actually understand how it works and how much it can help. So thank you once again for like sharing the knowledge.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, my pleasure. I think you're absolutely right. The adoption of the AI tools came with the entrance of the chat GPTs, right? So it exploded. It was a bigger adoption than anything else, bigger than TV, bigger than TikTok. It was extremely steep growth on the adoption of these tools. These tools are just chatbots. Behind, there is AI that existed for more than 20, 30 years. I mean, not specifically the transformer technology, which is what is being used for these chatbots, but AI is basically, I mean, let's put it this way. AI is just math and statistics with steroids. That's all it is, truly.
Thank you, Munir. I also would like to say hello and hoping to see you soon back in Canary Islands, maybe one day. And thank you for joining and being open to be involved in our projects.
My pleasure. My pleasure. My absolute pleasure. Hopefully this helped. And as I said, I left my email for anyone who is willing to reach out for any reason, any questions, comments, concerns, aid for different institutions. I'm more than happy to always look at this. Yeah, I think we can help the world with that, to be honest with you. All right.
So thank you once again. It was a great presentation, and I'm sure that everyone will find it useful. And I think you also sparked, some thought regarding the use of AI for these topics. I kindly ask Kata to please share the feedback form on the presentation, so that people can scan the QR code one last time, because we want to hear your feedback. And also we will provide a certificate of participation to everyone that has completed the feedback form. So I will prepare them this week, and then I'm going to share, I'm going to send an email to everyone with a folder where you will find your certificate. So we are going to leave the slide with the QR code for the feedback form. As soon as you complete it, you can exit the meeting. One last time, I want to thank Munir. I hope that we will be able to collaborate in the future as well. I look forward to seeing more of your work because you are on a very, very interesting path. And I think it's great the fact that you're putting your expertise, your technological expertise at service of something that actually helps society and helps children and education. So that's also admirable, I think.
Thank you so much. Yeah, this definitely has a huge impact. Yeah, I was going to say, can I get a certificate also?
Of course. I will send it to you.
Okay, guys. But thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Appreciate it. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.